and welcome to my channel. My name is Alice and today I'm going to show you how I made this angel numbers piece. So recently I've been making a bunch of angel numbers themed art with pours, acrylic and fluid pours. So I've done 333, I've done 1111, this one is 444. I've also done 777 and 2222, but those are packaged up and ready to go to their new homes. Speaking of, let's hear a word from our sponsor. Hi, I'm the sponsor of this video. My name is Alice, and if you'd like to check out my Etsy store, the link is down below, and 333 and 444 are still for sale. Now, back to the video. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how I made one of these pieces of artwork. I am going to be working on this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 for a client, and I'm going to walk you through the whole process of how I made this. So if you want to make one at home yourself, then you can. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little Dixie cups and I'm going to mix some gesso and also a little bit of this blue ink to create a base. I already gessoed this wood panel once with just white gesso. This was actually my first time using gesso. A lot of times I use just regular acrylic paint or ink for the background, but it shouldn't really make a difference. I just felt like using gesso this time. So really experiment with whatever you want to create your base layer. I'm going with this teal aqua kind of robin's egg blue because my client really wanted something that was very angel numbers-y, and I know that my client really likes the ocean and watercolors, so I decided to go with a tranquil water theme. And so once I applied the gesso, I went over and I used my brush to create these textured brush strokes that kind of look like ocean waves. These are going to show through certain areas of the pour, and also the inks are going to collect in those little ridges and you'll be able to see parts of it. So this whole process is about thinking about layering and how things are going to layer. For my next step, I'm taking these wooden house numbers. I got them from the Target dollar section. Last time I saw them, they did have them, but they were on clearance. But I'm pretty sure that you can find them at the dollar store or craft stores or Walmart. They shouldn't be too hard to find. They're just wooden house numbers. And I painted those with the gesso. I decided to paint these the same color as the background. Some of them I have done a different color and some I've done the same color. It just kind of depends on the aesthetic that you're looking for at the end of your pour. And I also do find it's really helpful to paint the edges first and then paint the top, because you can paint the edges and use the top and bottom to kind of hold it and then lay them down flat to paint the top. Definitely recommend doing that. It took me a couple letters to figure out the best strategy for painting them. And also, this is a messy process, so just be prepared. Your hands are going to get messy and your nails are going to get covered in paint. If you want to wear gloves, you could definitely do that. I just scrub my hands a lot. You can also use regular acrylic to paint these. You can also use acrylic inks. I've done both. If you don't have acrylic inks, I would definitely recommend having some to follow this tutorial, but you could try using watered down acrylic paint as well. I just don't know how well it's going to work. I kind of developed my own technique for pouring, and I'm really excited to show you how I do it. So now that the numbers are pretty much painted, I wait for them to dry, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick them on that board. I'm using Tacky Glue by Eileen's. Can't beat Tacky Glue, honestly. Tacky Glue is awesome. And it's nice because it's thick enough that it will hold its position. It won't slide around really easily, but you can kind of tweak it once you've got your numbers on. You should probably lay out your numbers before and make sure they fit. In the past, I've done that, and for this one, I just kind of forgot with 1 and 2 and then realized that I was just going it and winging it, and that was probably not a good idea. So then I laid down the 3 and the 4 and tweaked the 2 a little bit and just kind of made sure that everything was in the right spot. Once the glue dries, this is, it's glued down, so really do your best to make sure that your numbers are aligned in the way that you want them to. They have a little bit of space between them. Make sure nothing is crooked, except for if you want it crooked. Just make sure that everything, all the elements are where you want them to be. That 4 needed to be fixed, so I fixed it. Then I put a large board on top and I put 2 books on top of the board, and this is going to provide some pressure while it dries. Now it's time for the pouring. So I always start with the gloss pouring medium from Liquitex, and I use the clear one. And then the second one that you saw was a iridescent one that I'm going to be using as well. But I start by using the gloss, and I pour it all over the piece, and then I spray it with some water. This is going to help it smooth out and self-even a little bit. And then I just take a big brush and smush it all over the canvas. You really want to try to get in all the cracks of the 2s and the 3s and the 4s. And then I spray it with water again to settle that surface. I use a water spray bottle a lot. Then I took the iridescent gloss medium and created stripes, and then I started pouring in my inks. So basically what I do is I drip the inks into that gloss medium base. That gloss medium base can basically create something for it to blend in and flow in. So instead of mixing that pouring base with color and then pouring it, I'm applying it directly to the piece and then dropping color into it. As I work on this, I continue to spray it with the spray bottle just to keep things wet because I live in a state where things dry like that. And I am just continuing to build up all the different colors that I want, some metallics, some whites, some neons. And I decided to go in more of a linear pattern for this because I wanted to evoke the idea of waves underneath. So for this first one, I just poured along the corners into those little Dixie cups. I use those for everything, and I'll prop it up on the Dixie cups, and then I also pour into the Dixie cups. And you can see I'm adding some spray water with the water bottle to wet things down and make things flow a little bit more in areas where I want them to flow. And you can also use that little spray bottle. So like in the top left corner here where it hadn't really like gotten into that area, I went ahead and sprayed some more on it. Normally, I have this paper towel underneath this whole thing with a piece of plastic palette paper below, but the first pour I forgot. So definitely recommend having something underneath when you're pouring. Now, once it's dry, I'm going on and I'm doing a second pour. This is another thing that I think kind of makes my technique a little bit more unique or interesting is I do a lot of layering. These pieces only have 2 pours, but some of my other pieces have like upwards of 10 or 15 pours. So I'm going to repeat the whole process, but I'm going to be pouring, moving the ink in a bit of a different way this time. So as you can see, I go ahead, create that base layer with that pouring medium, make it nice and smooth with the spray bottle, and then drip in those colors again. This time I'm going for more whites and some shimmers because I want to create the idea of froth on top of the ocean. So because of that, instead of doing a linear pour, I'm going to pour off the excess, and then I'm actually going to use air to spray things out in more of a bubbly pattern. So like I said, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour off the excess and get a base pour. So pouring into the corner from the Dixie cup into the Dixie cup, same as last time, and then just getting the other corner to kind of keep it even and make sure that paint is distributed across the whole canvas. And then I'm going to put it back down and I'm going to take my hairdryer. I'm also going to put in some more of that iridescent medium because I love it. And also, if you put medium on this, it will push your inks out and create a kind of center that is open and that you can see the bottom layer underneath, if that makes sense. Because it's thicker than the inks around it, it pushes it away, kind of like when you drop water into watercolor. Then I take my hairdryer, as I was saying earlier before I got distracted, and I'm going to set this on cool and hold the cold button down. So you want it to be as literally as cold as possible. And you have to do this fast because once that gloss medium starts drying, you can start getting weird little I don't even know what to call them, gelatinous bumps, and we don't like gelatinous bumps. But keep going and spraying it with that spray bottle. You can use that to thin out areas if it's covering up an area that you want to have shown, or you can use it to thin out areas that are just a little too thick or are drying quickly and you need to re-wet them. So you can see that creates a really different texture than the first pour that we did, and I think it looks really cool and very much gives that wavy kind of vibe that I was looking for. So I'm going to go in with some gloss medium again, and I'm going to take that, I'm going to put it on my paintbrush, and I'm actually going to splatter it into this wet final pour. And like I was saying, that gloss medium is going to push away the rest of the colors. So it's going to push away the colors around it and create all these little bubbles and specks on the top of the surface. Like I said, this is my own technique that I've just kind of developed from trial and error. So if this doesn't seem like any other pour that you've seen before, that's why, but I hope that you found it helpful and like learned something and are excited to try this project yourself. It's mostly done at this point. I'm kind of just like adding in all these little extra pieces. You really want to take your time before you let it dry, because once it's dry, like it's dry. So I'm really keeping an eye on it as it dries. I also find that if you want to create smaller little pour bubble areas, to pour the little gloss medium on and then blow at it yourself instead of using the hairdryer, you'll get a smaller, more concentrated kind of air. I don't even know what to call it. Airflow. You guys know what I mean. I hope you know what I mean. And then the last thing that I'm going to do once it's all dry is sign it and spray it with this Ultra Cover Clear Gloss by Rustoleum. It's super, super shiny. So this is the final result, and that gloss spray made it so glossy and shiny and really brings out all of the detail. You can see all the layered pores over each other, and I just think it looks so pretty, and it really is actually pretty easy to do. So I would love to see you all try this for yourself, and if you do, please tag me. You can see there, you can see some of that gesso lines coming through, and I'm just so happy with it. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment. And as always, have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.